Tim_A.Kabir says, have safe flying. Okay, I'll try to not hit a power line. Rough_roller asks, when will you get on a 16-meter drift air laughing hysterically face? Am I gonna address the Dudek Bros? Okay, let's address the Dudek Bros. Yeah, I'd love to try the Drift Air 16. I'd love to try the Warp 2. I would love to try the Snake 3. The thing I don't like with Dudek isn't the products. The products are flying. I flew the Warp 18. I flew the Warp 16. They both fly great. But like, what is people's obsession with this brand? There's like this contingent of people online who like live and die by Dudek. It's like dudes who ride Harleys. Bro, you need a real wing. If you haven't flown a real wing yet until you've flown the Snake 3.
So I've been thinking recently about artists who inspire me, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that the people that really inspire me, at least personally, are the artists who aren't necessarily technically proficient, but it's the people that have a style that you can't emulate, but when you see it, you know it's them immediately. Now, for guitar at least, I find people like Eric Johnson and Stevie Ray Vaughan to have that effect on me where when you hear the first note they play, you know it's them. But for filmmaking, the first person who really had that effect on me was Casey Neistat.
Keep your head down, follow the rules, do as you're told, play it safe. Wait your turn, ask permission, learn to compromise. This is terrible advice. Okay, here's the video.
Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you're probably well aware that I've drawn inspiration from Casey, both subtly and not so subtly. In fact, when I was way younger, I even made the sunglasses. So you're probably thinking, Judson, okay, why are you bringing all this up? And the answer is kind of simple. I was going through some old Casey videos, the New York City daily vlog ones, and I came across his old Q&A segment. And I remember watching that when I was younger, going, it'd be kind of cool at some point to be able to do a Q&A like that, where people want to hear your opinion about something.
So I went on the old Instagram, which somehow I have a lot of followers on Instagram, and I said, hey guys, what do you want to know about? Let's ask some questions. And you know, I expected like 4 or 5 responses. I didn't expect the response we got out of this thing. And there's gotta be 100 people asking me questions, which is insane. I don't think I have 100 people's worth of questions. Neil. And then for good measure, I put another Q&A up on YouTube. Like another 50 or so people responded. What do you guys want to know? So okay, fine. People want to know, and it's a lovely morning for flying. So I said, hey, why don't we do my first in-air flying Q&A? So yeah, let's do that. Okay, I got my cruise control set. We got a good altitude. Let's check the Instagram poll first and see what people want to know about. Okay. Paramotor Q&A, AMA. See all. How do you manage to be so handsome and also so talented? What's the worst/most expensive thing you have dropped while flying? This one time in Pennsylvania, I dropped my phone out of a paramotor. It slid out of my pocket by accident because the paramotor didn't have side pockets like my Scout. And the screen shattered, but it was like a really crappy phone, so I didn't really care that much. And then somehow we found it in a soybean field. DG Han asks, I'm just curious, do you ever worry about other air traffic? Yes, constantly. I'm always looking around for other air traffic. And especially after that experience in the TBM, when you're at altitude, you should be like super aware of other air traffic. Best beginner motor other than Adam 80. That depends on your weight. If you're like over 160, you're probably gonna want a Moster 185 like this. I hear good things about the Polini liquid-cooled 80. The top 80 is a good option. There's a bunch of motors. Doesn't really matter like the motor too much. Hughes DePuth asks, how old were you when you started? I was 16. I was about to turn 17, but I did my first flight when I was 16 years old. Jordan Mosur asks, fly-in event? Question mark, exclamation point? Maybe. I don't want to be responsible for a fly-in, but I certainly would be responsible for like a paramotor gathering somewhere on like BLM land out west. Like I don't want to be responsible for the fly-in, but like I would organize it. That'd be cool. A11Y Bert Zero asks, what's your best advice for somebody starting out paramotoring at a young age? Thanks, A11Y Bert Zero. I started out paramotor as a young age, and now I'm slightly older, but I'm still pretty young. My best advice to you would be meet the local community and start learning how to kite as soon as possible. And then also, as a youngster, start educating yourself on financial stuff, like how to make investments, how to be money smart, because you're gonna love this paramotor thing a ton and you're not gonna want to work a regular job. And if you learn how to manage money correctly and make investments properly, which is something I'm trying to learn how to do right now, you'll be kind of set up. Go grab yourself a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad and read that. Learn how to kite really well, and then somebody might consider sending you up in the air. All right, let's find something that's longer, and then we can fly lower. Kite powered. That's my dude Mark Frazier. He asks, when a glider is called efficient, does that mean it's got a good glide angle, or is there more to it? All right, Mark, let's answer this one more in depth. I'm currently flying an Ozone Viper 5, which in terms of paramotor wings is probably the most efficient one right now. And efficiency is a hard thing to metric. And yeah, it's a measure of how well does it glide, but it's also a measure of how fast do you go while you're gliding really well. Now the Viper is really fast, but also has a really good glide ratio. Another cool thing that happens with efficient gliders is when you're doing maneuvers like wingovers, the recovery arc, so right now as I like scoop back under the glider, it's really short. And that feels really nice to me. I like when it's short and it doesn't dive too much. Well, we're officially off the airport. There's a water tower in front of me. That's cool. It's a nice sunrise. It's beautiful right now. If it was legal to fly anywhere, where would you go first? I really have this dream of flying around New York City because I worked there for a while. And legally speaking, you could do it. There's a thing called a SAFRA, or a Special Flight Rules Area, along the Hudson River, which is this Class G airspace corridor. There's a whole lot to get into this, but there's basically a corridor up the Hudson River of Class G airspace, which is airspace that's legal to fly a paramotor in. And if you got all the right paperwork and took the right classes, you could fly up the Hudson River. And I'd really like to do that with like a chase boat and stuff. I don't know how to make that happen, but like if somebody knows how to do that, let's do that. Not Pablo Estevez asks, where to next? California. All right, a few more from Instagram. Michael Hohen asks, how's your acro going? It's good, dude. I'm getting better at helis. I'm getting more confident with stalls. It's kind of a slow progression, to be honest, because I don't get the opportunity to fly that wing all the time. Sometimes I just want to go out and fly this wing. Smart I018 asks, best second wing for intermediate pilots? That depends. Let's go down here. Best second wing for intermediate pilots. It depends on what you want to do. My best recommendation, if you wanted to get something that would actually teach you something and be like different instead of just a step up, would be a non-reflex B-rated paragliding wing, like, just making sure there's no power lines, would be a non-reflex B-rated paragliding wing.
Geo 5, what do you expect from us? Obviously better, Yeah, it's better than the previous one.
Like the Gin Vantage, the Ozone Kona 2, Nova Mentor, or Ion 6, something like that, because a non-reflex wing is going to teach you proper everything. It's going to make your outside brake skills much better. You're going to get a lot more in tune with it, and you'll also be able to do things like an SIV on it, where you go out and make collapses, install it. And if you want to get into paragliding. Now, if you're really into acro and you really want to get your maneuvers down, this is going to be a controversial answer, but I would go ahead and get your hands on a really oversized acro wing, like the Emily Peace or the U-Turn Progress, one with the long lines, right? These things are a little bit more spicy than like a B-rated paragliding wing, but oh man, if you want to learn how to really do wingovers, if you want a wing that's going to force you to make proper technique on every little move, then yeah, like an acro wing is where it's at. And then if you want to get into helis and full stalls and friggin' misty flips and all stuff like that, then, you know, that's the wing for you. I've never been this far over here. I don't even know where we're going. We're just pointing it towards the sun because the lighting's good on my face. Hey, let's check out some questions from YouTube. There's still a ton on Instagram. Matt 1862K asks, what's the highest altitude you got to? 11,269 feet, and it was freaking cold. Wouldn't recommend it. Josh Marsh asks, if you could go back to the beginning of you flying a paramotor, what is one thing you would do differently? Not much. I'm really grateful for like the entire experience I had while learning to fly. I suppose knowing what I know now, just approaching the progression at a bit slower of a pace would probably have been a better idea, but not much. I think I started okay. I'm here, I'm flying. J.E. Glenn 88 asks, where is the Dell interview? Okay, I know I hyped this up a bunch and then I was gonna release it and I put out the Trevor one, but then at some point I had a change of heart where I just couldn't bring myself to post it because it honestly just like is gonna start a bunch of drama in Paramotor and like probably incite a riot on the Facebook thing. I met Trevor in person and he's a pretty cool dude. And I don't want to put out something that's gonna potentially negatively affect Trevor's business, so I decided to not post it. Now if you want to see it, I might be starting a Patreon pretty soon, and if you subscribe to the Patreon, I might put up the exclusive Dell interview. Guys, believe me when I say, it's as glorious as you think it is. If you wanted a Dell interview from Judson Graham, this would be the interview. It's incredible. But I don't see the value in posting it publicly online. Blake Walsh asks, have you ever thought about giving up the sport for any reason? I feel as if nothing could come between me and flying. No. Andres Shapiro asks, with so many absurd 5-minute flight time drone-like death drop aircraft being developed, don't you think working to promote electric paramotors that can fly for much longer in a safer way is what you should do for sport aviation? Nanotrikes too? I don't think it's what I should do because I don't really have any qualification to design a paramotor, let alone an electric paramotor. I mean, I don't know anything about that. I mean, if they could make an electric paramotor that flew for 2 hours, had like an interchangeable battery, made thrust about like this thing, and didn't weigh more than 70 pounds, I'd be all over that. I would love it. Are you seeing how gorgeous this field is right now? Holy crap. I mean, this is like a 10. It's gonna be cold down here, but we're gonna have to go through the fog. All right, another question. Whew. This is so gorgeous. PERROTT313 asks, have you ever flown in North Carolina? Yes. My buddy Mark Honeycutt lives in North Carolina, and I flew motors with him in North Carolina, and we also went free flying off this hill, and him and I almost went in the trees really bad. But then we hit a thermal and climbed out. It was my first time pre-flying anything, and apparently like from this launch site you have to find some lift or you won't make it to the landing zone, and we did not find lift until the very end, and we were like super duper about to go right in the trees. Ask Mark Honeycutt about that if you find him. Turbines and Tailwheels ask, what's the Mach wind you can fly in? Shout out to you, Tom. It depends on where you are, because if you're in the mountains, there's rotor turbulence and it gets really turbulent really fast. But if you're in Florida or at the beach, you can fly in some pretty strong wind and it's totally fine. Like, I don't know, 15 miles an hour. Risen asks, has flying provoked any deep thoughts and or philosophical mindsets in you or any of your friends? How does the taste of flight change how you deal with life on the floor and in general due to the literal and mental perspective shifts? Yeah, definitely. I can't really pinpoint it, but paramotoring has a way of humbling you, and because you get to see the world from this perspective up so high and just so disconnected, it sort of makes you realize how insignificant you are if you really think about it. But at the same time, paramotoring has also taught me how valuable I am to other people, and like that as a person I'm valued, which is something I think a lot of people don't have in their life, is just a sense of worth. The paramotor community in general, and just being a part of a community, whether it's paramotors, motorcycles, freaking paper mache, being a part of a community I think is really important. So yeah, I mean stuff like that. Golf Foxtrot 22 asks, hi Giles, would you like to fly any other light aircraft / ultralight type vehicle? I really want to get into general aviation, but I don't have general aviation money, so like at some point I'll be able to get into general aviation and do that. I'd love to fly like a Kit Fox or a Highlander, like some kind of bush plane, and see what that thing's about. But the appeal of general aviation to me is more like the speeds you can carry, because like in a paramotor you can get that really open door, super seat of your pants feel, but you're going 30 miles an hour and you can't go anywhere fast. But then you get in something like a RV7 and you can cover like states in hours. So the ability to travel like long distances fast is pretty cool to me. Kylo Glee asked, what's it like to paramotor as a young man? I was late to the party. It's kind of like what I imagine being that young, like that freshman in high school who's really chill with all the seniors is like. Like, all my friends are older than me because of paramotoring. I don't really have any friends my age. I consider people who are twice my age even peers. So, like, that aspect of it is kind of weird. All right, I think we're going to head back to the airport. That was Q&A. Thank you for all your responses. I was blown away by the response to the responses. Downwind. I just landed and I'm looking around. This is a one-wheel GT, the carbon fiber fender. I'm gonna steal the GT real quick. I don't know whose it is, but I'm about to try it. Okay. Oh, it's on. First GT rip. Oh, it's fast.